Now on ABC 6 News at 6, he's the top National Guardsman in Minnesota, and today the welfare of local troops was the focus of a special meeting.
Plus a headline that's getting a lot of attention by Twins fans. Could Joe Mauer really be traded?
And it happened again for the third time a ride malfunctions at the Great Minnesota Get-Together.
Your local news and weather source, ABC 6 News at 6, starts now.
They're back from their mission but still need our help. Today, the top military man in Minnesota visited our area to discuss ongoing military issues. Good evening, I'm Laura Lee, and we want to thank everyone for participating in our Anchor for a Day sweepstakes. And I'm here with our Anchor for a Day winner, Rachel Vick. Now,
Hey.
Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Byron, and I am returning this year for my second year at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and I'm a mass communications major, so I hope to do something like this someday.
Awesome. So perfect fit for it then. Are you excited?
I am very excited, yes.
Good. Now let's get on to the news, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Even though it's been several months since the National Guard unit known as the Red Bulls fulfilled its latest mission to Kuwait, some soldiers and their families still need help.
Right now, one of the biggest issues is finding employment. But as ABC 6 News reporter Gordon Severson explains, the problems go far beyond finding a job.
Since starting the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon initiative, the state of Minnesota has always been seen as a pioneer for helping vets. But now that many soldiers are back home, organizers say it's time to change.
And it's time for a transition.
Going from a group aimed at supporting families through a deployment to one that helps them afterwards. Employment is still near the top of their list.
We've seen huge success. This battalion alone had over 250 soldiers looking for employment. And when they've returned now in April and May up to this point in time, with all the job fairs that we put on, all the work Deed has done, our governor has done, we're down to about 24, 28 soldiers looking for employment. So that's a huge success.
And that's only this battalion. In the brigade itself, consisting of 2,700 soldiers, 1,100 came home unemployed. Now, less than 5% are looking for work. So Beyond the Yellow Ribbon groups are focusing their attention on emotional support. The only problem is finding the families that need their help.
Service people are proud families, they don't beg for help, so that's going to be the biggest concern now.
During their discussion, several people mentioned the children and families. Many still dealing with the emotional problems even though their parent is back from war.
These deployments are very stressful on families, and I want my nephew and other military families to know that people in their community care about them and will have their back and will be there to support them.
In Owatonna, Gordon Severson, ABC 6 News.
Right now, the biggest event for veterans is a job fair on October 11th in Rochester, but several Beyond the Yellow Ribbon groups are setting up events as well. And ABC 6 News has gathered resources for our veterans and their families. The latest stories, jobs, events, and more can all be found on KALTV.com.
Hurricane Isaac has weakened to a tropical storm, but he continues to pack a punch, and will for a couple more days. The rain has slammed much of the coast, where hundreds are in need of evacuation. In some cities, curfews are in place tonight. And on the 7th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, a number of residents in Orleans Parish are without power. Many in the coast are ready in shelters, and relief will be needed after Isaac dies down. In anticipation, a handful of local Red Cross volunteers have already made the trip down. They will be working in shelters in Florida and Louisiana, providing hot meals and supplies, while others will coordinate with relief efforts.
And Rachel's doing so good that she's going to do the weather for me, I think. I've decided I'm going to head home. She can just do... No? Oh, I have to do my job? Okay, well, Rachel, you're doing a fantastic job, and University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. Eau Claire was where my first job was. If you need any help, let me know. Here's your forecast. We got temperatures right now. The high temperatures were in the 90s. Look at that, almost 100 degrees. Currently, we're in the middle 90s. For most of us, it's a hot one out there, and the wind isn't helping out of the south and west at 10 to 25 miles per hour. Outside right now, Albert Lee Tower Cam at a toasty 93 degrees. Southwest wind at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Your evening planner has temperatures dropping into the 60s and right back into the middle 80s by noon tomorrow. We are looking at a lot of 90s in the forecast, but then we'll see 80s in the forecast. So plenty to talk about. Do we have any rain in the forecast? Well, probably not so much, but we'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
A North Iowa man has pled not guilty to having sex with an underage teenage girl.
25-year-old Marcus Brown entered a written plea in Saragordo County Court earlier this week. He's accused of having sex with a 13-year-old girl on 6 different occasions. His trial has been set for late October.
An Austin man has pled guilty to abusing his own young son. The baby, only 4 months old at the time, already pre-existing health conditions at the time. 23-year-old James Mentz made a plea agreement and pled to a single count of malicious punishment of a child. We'll talk with the child's grandparents about the abuse coming up tonight at 10.
Rochester police want people to know about this predatory offender moving to town. 27-year-old Jerry Lee Vandelheimer will be released from prison September 4th, moving to the 2100 block of Campus Drive Southeast. Vandenheimer was convicted of sexual conduct with a teenage girl. Authorities will schedule a notification meeting closer to his release. It has been held up as an example of how to keep our kids safe, and today the Cybele Visitation Center opened its doors to show the community what success looks like. ABC 6 News reporter Dan Conrad went on the tour.
The Cybele Center is a supervised visitation and exchange center.
It was a novel idea when the doors first opened.
A safe haven for children to be exchanged from one parent to another parent.
And as the center turns 4 years old,
it has been a very busy year.
Business is booming.
We have seen numbers much higher than we have in previous years.
Before the Cybele Center opened, parents would exchange their children in parking lots or at fast food restaurants or even here at the Law Enforcement Center, often with disastrous results.
On occasion, we'd get called back because there was a full-blown domestic taking place out in our own parking lot.
But in the past 4 years,
domestics dealing with the children or wanting to pick a child up and the one parent doesn't want to release, those type of calls have gone way down.
By about 33% since we've opened.
And it all started behind these doors.
Since opening, we've had over 10,000 hours of supervised visitation and exchanges that have taken place within the building.
The center opened with a grant from the Department of Justice and was considered a model site, one of only 13 in the U.S. And family advocates from around the country came to see it.
And they've not only toured the site, but there's been similar centers that have been opened up.
The center was named for the late Mower County Judge Michael Cybele.
Because he protected the rights of everyone, especially children.
And as the center begins its 5th year, one thing that hasn't changed is its mission.
To keep children out of the middle of any kind of conflict.
Dan Conrad, ABC 6 News.
The Cybele Center has seen nearly 900 new children since it opened in August of 2008.
Some people near Rochester spent the day learning about crops and some of the challenges local farmers face. It was a crop field day put on by the University of Minnesota Extension. Farmers came to learn more about the research done on crops and soil in southeast Minnesota.
Some of the soils work that the experiment station is doing, the soils in southeast Minnesota are unique to this portion of the site, or to the state, so it's critical that that work be done on these particular soils.
Another topic that was discussed at today's meeting was insects that affect corn and soybeans.
Slow progress is on the Pine Island Elk Run Bio-Business Center is to be expected. Tower Investments, the company in charge of the project, is behind nearly $1 million on taxes and fees. And last week it had the opportunity to attend the Pine Island City Council meeting to update the public on the project and didn't show up. City officials say this is a very long-term project and it could be years before things really begin to develop.
This is not a vegetable garden that, you reap benefits from it within 3 months period. I've said that before and I'm going to say it again. This is an olive tree. You plant it today and you may not you yourself eat the fruits from it, but future generations will.
Our calls to Tower Investments were not returned.
Tonight, former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty will speak during the primetime lineup at the Republican National Convention. Pawlenty has served as Romney's national campaign co-chair since early in this race, but was passed over to be Romney's running mate. However, Pawlenty's placement to speak at the Republican Convention may say something about his position with the Romney camp. He will be speaking before former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and Vice President nominee Paul Ryan. We spoke with Republicans who say Pawlenty could very well be positioning himself for a cabinet seat. Early predictions, a top pick for Secretary of Agriculture or the role in Energy Department. Meantime, delegates in Minnesota and Iowa still show support for former presidential candidate Ron Paul. 33 out of 40 delegates in Minnesota support Paul. In Iowa, 23 out of 28 delegates. Republican leaders say now is not the time to talk about what-ifs, rather to work on behalf of Romney. However, those who chaired Paul's campaign says with the presidential race being so close, failure to reach out Paul's supporters could cost Romney his election. And you can watch former Governor Tim Pawlenty's live speech tonight at the Republican National Convention right here on ABC6 News. Then tune in here for a full recap of ABC6 News at 10.
All right. So what did you think? How did you think you did?
I had a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
Good. No,
had a little jitters, but it was a lot.
Oh, you did fine. You did better than fine. You did really, really good.
Thank you.
Now, are you still, after doing this, are you still interested in going into?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. And tell us a little bit about, during all these little, intervals, you were talking to us about what you do at this your college station.
Oh yeah, I actually have a radio show at my college station, so I'll be starting that this year, which I'm really excited about.
Good.
So. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much
thank you.
for coming
Thank
to do
you.
this, and congratulations for winning.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.